So whenever I used to write programs, I used to think of the algorithm, which is basically the steps, in my head very clearly. And then I write the first time I write itself, I write the code perfectly. And then when I click run, it'll run exactly the way I wanted it to. I'm lying to you. This never happened. Not just to me, but for most people, this is not how programming or coding works. You think of the algorithm, and even if your algorithm is correct, when you write it in code, the computer, usually the first time, throws an error at you. That's basically the computer going like, I don't know what this guy wants me to do. It's like you might have a thought in your head that seems clear, but then when you put it out in words, you might say something like, either want to coding teach now or something like that. So the computer goes, that's the error. Now sometimes the computer goes, it doesn't even know you made an error, it runs, except it does something opposite of what you wanted it to do. So whenever this happens, when either the computer throws an error at you or does a thing you didn't want it to do, something else, that's called a bug in the code. A bug. Basically another word for error in the code. Something's wrong in the code. What to do when code goes wrong? The answer is you debug. Basically remove the bug. Right? It's like this word de comes from, like in other places you might have seen this, right? Like deworm a puppy. Puppies have a lot of worms usually, and then you have to deworm, which is remove the worm. So de is just another word for remove. You might have even heard of like detoxing. Like apparently there are toxins in your body, and this supposed milkshake or whatever they give you will detox your body. It's a scam, by the way, and most people who are talking about detoxing your body have no idea what they're talking about. But the point here is D usually stands for removal, and debugging is removing the bug or the error from a program. When I was taught this though, the first question I had was, Reynolds, okay, if there's an error in a program, you call it an error in a program. Why are you calling it a bug? I already know what a bug is. A bug is a small insect that crawls around. What has a bug got to do with computers and coding? Now that's a great question, and I'm going to answer that at the end of this video. But before that, let's actually learn how to debug or remove errors from a program like a responsible citizen using the 3 steps. So what are these 3 steps of debugging? First step is to know what's supposed to happen and then compare it to what actually happens when you run the code. So run the code and compare these two. What's expected to happen here? 4 gems will be collected. Let's run the code and see what actually happens. Fine for 1 gem. Fine till here. And that's where the error is, right? So step number 1, you compared it to what should happen, but instead of 4 gems to be collected, only 2 gems were collected. So what's step 2? Step 2, from here I'm going to give you some choices. Let's see what you pick. Choice number 1, remove all the lines of code. Yeah, just throw it all out. Like go like, you know what, I just want to do the whole thing again. Option number 2 is read every single line of code as if the error could be anywhere. Or option number 3, cleverly look at the output and then be able to predict which line of code or lines of code the error or the bug probably is. That's right, the answer is option 3. The error is probably in the lines of code after the second collect, right? What happened in the output? You had to collect 1, and then you had to collect 2, and after that, things look like they were going wrong. So now you'll go to the code and go, okay, there's a collect here, there's a collect here. After this, it's this area where the issues are. So you've successfully done step 2 now. And now what's step 3? Step 3 is just go fix it. Just go fix the error by changing the lines of code that need to be changed. But to do that, we have to start reading from this area. So I'm going to summarize now. Step 1, run the code, compare it to what it should have done, and look at what it actually did. Step 2, find the region, the area, the line or lines of code where the error could be. And now step 3, fix it. So let's fix it. Second collect, great. Now turn left from there and then move forward, still fine. Turn right, still fine. And then there is a collect. So it's this line of code that's the problem, because there is nothing to collect there. That's why the computer is going, hey, there's nothing to collect here, which is why I can't collect. So what's required? The fixing part is I have to add another move forward so that it goes and collects in the next block, not in this block. So somebody missed a move forward. Now does this mean you have fixed all the bugs in this code? Not really. There could be more bugs, but you've fixed the first bug in this code. Now let's run the code, because we are hoping this is the only bug. Maybe the case, maybe not. Let's see. No surprises till here. This is expected as well. This is the bug we fixed. And luckily, that's the only bug. So you just applied the 3 steps of debugging, which is run the code, find the area where the error is, and step 3, fix the error. Now the 3 steps of debugging are all fine, but where does this word bug come from for a computer error? Now that's a question you're probably still curious about. And in 1947, which is long ago in computer science, but it's still probably younger than our grannies, a professor found an actual moth. You know this moth that flies? Yeah, actual moth stuck inside one of these large computers. And then he took it out and said, hey, this is a case of the first computer bug because it's a literal, actual bug. And then he taped it. And that's the case where we found a bug. And from then on, this word bug for computer programs started catching on. It's a popular story. Now, while this happened, this is not the first time the word bug was used to describe an error or a glitch in a program or in a computer system. Because much earlier than that, even before computers, people were using this word bug to describe a problem in hardware, like Thomas Edison seems to have used it. Even earlier, people seem to have used it for hardware devices. So why did we start calling errors and glitches in some system, like an engineering system or a hardware system, a bug? I don't know. It seems to be much older than this 1947 story. And if you find out exactly when this word bug for an error came about, let me know.